Good evening. I caught up. I had a wild, whimsy day, first off. And so as I'm winding down for tonight, I was catching up on things that was on my to-do list, my cognitive to-do list, and some of the things were responding back to some of the comments that I haven't gotten around to acknowledging yet. Still making my way around it. I found this new feature that allows me to filter out all like the unresponded comments so I can get to them. But it's time for another bedtime story with the Book of Mormon. Because I didn't get very far in the first book of Nephi. Learn that, Nephi. Oh, and Melchizedek. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Also, I have my pizza. Last time I had I don't know what dessert I was eating in bed, cobbler or something. Now I have pizza rolls. So, anyways. I was going to start on chapter 2. But then I was like, okay, well, no, let me refresh what happened in chapter 1. And I was like, wait, I didn't even finish chapter 1. So I'm going to start with chapter or on just the second page. Okay, so I made it past the first page. I'm on the second page now. Oh, but before that, the Melchizedek and Aaronic. Every time I hear Aaronic like that, I think of the Key and Peele skit with the substitute teacher where he's like, hey, Aaron. And like, Jaqueline. If people are unfamiliar with that, it just reminds me every time I hear the word Aaron or when they say Aaronic, because it sounds like Aaronic. It reminds me of that skit. Anywho. So we are going to go along on this journey. I'm on verse, I wanted to start here because this completely just floored me. Because it says, and it came to pass as he prayed unto the Lord, there came a pillar of fire and dwelt upon a rock before him. And he saw and heard much. And because of the things which he saw and heard, he did quake and tremble exceedingly. Guys, okay, first off, it sounds like, how would you feel like you're out stargazing? Just feeling the vibes, just, having a little bit of a moment of time with yourself, right? To replenish yourself. And all of a sudden, the rock you're leaning on, the boulder, all of a sudden, this huge pillar of fire just plops down. There came a pillar of fire and dwelt upon a rock before him. Does that not sound like fire just whopped out of nowhere, just came down, plopped in, and then just started chatting? But it doesn't sound like it was chatting to him. It sounds like it was chatting with someone else, maybe the rock. Because he said, and he saw and heard much. It sounds like he was a third person observer, not being I was given or I received, heard much or whatever. And so I just envision him just chilling on this rock. Maybe he just got done doing a hike and he was just at the top of the hill, pondering life, right? His favorite spot as the sunset. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, he feels some heat behind him. And then, or he hears it coming down from the atmosphere or whatever, when fireworks descend, you can hear it. I'm sure fire crackles and stuff, right? So that would be what is going on? And if I perceived talking fire, I would be frozen. I would be scared. I would be huddled, pretending I was part of the rock, being please don't see me. I don't know what to do. Please don't see me. I would be so scared. Oh. Anyways, I would also kind of feel a little bit I was really living out a scene from Disney, a Disney princess or a Disney fairy tale. I don't know if there's any talking fire, but I mean, they have talking octopuses and crabs and snowmen. So, that caught my attention because whatever he heard, man, you basically eavesdropped on rock and fire. The original rock, paper, scissors. Maybe it was rock, paper, fire. Right? You overheard that conversation that literally nature was having with itself. I would be shaken too, man. And he saw and heard and he did quake and tremble exceedingly. Yeah, I would too. You can make an entire movie based off of that alone. Can you imagine running back and trying to tell your friends, being guys, I know I sometimes say some weird things, but I mean it. I mean it this time. Like, y'all, there was a talking fire. There was talking fire. It talked to me. I overheard fire talking to a rock, sitting on a rock, talking to something. And if it was talking to him, that makes it even better, you know? Also, it does make me wonder, right? Because whenever you talk, how it changes like the movement pattern. So I wonder if the fire kind of like flared up when it was like talking. Like if it got like if it laughed like ha ha ha. Like in Hercules, like in the Hades or whatever, his little flame head, the bad guy. Anyways, okay, let me try to not. Let me get to verse 7. Ugh. And it came to pass that he returned to his own house at Jerusalem, and he cast himself upon his bed, being overcome with the Spirit and the things which he had seen. Yeah, so he probably was out on a hike, man. He was just out on a hike, going for a nature stroll. Maybe he was walking his dog or his sheep, and you experience that. That is basically like an extraterrestrial encounter. That's equivalent to this day and age. You being out in the woods and like a UFO comes and you overhear an alien conversation. Yeah. And it came to pass. That makes me sound like it took him a hot minute to get back home. And it came to pass that he returned to his own home at Jerusalem. And he cast himself upon his bed, meaning being overcome with the Spirit. This dude was so exhausted that it required a whole nother verse to quantify how much time passed for him to get back to his home in Jerusalem. That man was just like, he was beat. He was trying to wrap his mind around what just occurred. But it's pretty awesome he's living in Jerusalem, though. I wonder which part. Yeti, stop. Here, have a pizza roll. Okay. And being thus overcome with the Spirit, he was carried away in a vision, even that he saw the heavens open, and he thought he saw God sitting upon his throne, surrounded with numberless courses of angels in the attitude of singing and praising their God. I mean, I have definitely heard people say similar vibes, right? With like near-death experiences. I've certainly heard people in, what's it called? When I was shadowing in the ER, there were some people that said things like this that came in when they were in altered states of consciousness. So I can feel the vibes. I can feel the vibes around it. Because, I mean, honestly, it sounds quite euphoric, right? First off, who doesn't want to be carried away in a vision? That sounds fun. Like, I'd be curious because do you experience... Is it like closing your eyes and like watching a reel, you know? I'm curious about like how visions occur. Because that's how I envision it, right? Or maybe you're like even just sitting there, like, you know how like in, what's it called? Yeti. Here. Well, you gotta do a trick. Okay. The remainder. I'm working on developing obesity for her. At least we're clogging our arteries together. So, what was I talking about? Oh, the vision, yeah. It reminds me of like storm. That's why I was curious, like when people like invoke, or what do people imagine when they hear the word vision? Because I think of like Storm from X-Men, how her eyes turn like the white when she's in her like storm vibes. When she's PMSing. I'm just kidding. Or maybe going through menopause. I don't know. I mean, she looks like she aged really well. I mean, like Halle Berry, if you look at her, she really did age really well. Same as Jennifer Aniston. There's a lot of people that have aged well. Anyways, vision. Yeah, so when someone's having a vision, it makes me think like, you're literally perceiving some sort of like pictures. Like you're actually like, it's as if your eyes are open and you're like seeing stuff and experiencing stuff. And so in that case, I always wonder, because you got carried away, meaning, the ability to perceive being carried away somewhere, like your cognition registers a change of movement. So it makes me wonder, like, do those people literally experience, like, you know how your body can experience different G forces if you pull them, or different changes of force or movement that you can perceive. Even if like wind blows by your ear like that, you can feel a change in pressure, things like that. I wonder if people are having these visions, do they have those perceptual physiological changes that they can perceive? So if anyone has experience with this, please feel free to comment. Or whatever you imagine too, or what this is supposed to be. He was carried away in a vision, even that he saw the heavens open, right? Who's ever heard of heaven described not with like a place where anyone wants to visit? Heaven, basically invoking the symbolism of heaven is like equivalent to saying like Disneyland for vacation spot when you ask your kids. Okay, if you ask your kids, you want to go to heaven or Disneyland? They'd be like, Disneyland, right? Because to them, that's like their equivalent to what is perceptually conceived as like heaven, right? Because like, think about Disneyland. It's almost like oh gosh, I wonder if that's why so many adults like going to Disneyland. It really is like heaven there. Everyone's so happy and whimsy. Like it's the land of whimsy, even though Disney's kind of doing some weird things these days, as far as like money and stuff. Yeah, every time I've asked a lot of my friends, even if they're like physicians, people, whenever I travel, I always ask like, oh, like what's the one place you want to visit in America or whatever? They always say like Disneyland. They say Disney. Like even adults now that I know, they go on like these cruises, and I realize now it's like, yeah, because it's just like awe and wonder. It's like inspirational. Like one of my friends went on a cruise, and they were doing a 5K, and she did it just because it was like inspiring, and the medal said like, oh, I ran a 5K on vacation. And I was like, yeah, that's empowering. Like that's brilliant. It's a place, like that's exactly how I would imagine like heaven feeling like, right? The vibes of heaven, where you feel empowered, where everything's like just happy and very like whimsy and fairy tale-esque. Everything's beautiful. Like go to Disneyland, actually, well, anywhere you go on the planet, it's just beautiful, filled with beautiful people. There's everywhere. Anyways, I got off on a tangent there. Sorry. I don't know how long. Okay, we're at 12 minutes. I'll end with this first, because we've made it 3 verses. I don't want to make these too long. Sorry. Oh, the vision, the heaven. So I got sidetracked with the vibes of heaven. Because guys, doesn't that make you feel good? Just hearing that word. I mean, it makes me feel good. Like when I was little, I used to think that like heaven was just beyond the clouds. And so I was like, oh, like if the plane, like that's why I wasn't worried about the plane crashing. So I was like, we're just going to land on the clouds. Like it's no big deal. The logic of a kid, man. I've learned since then, after watching videos and experiencing some rather traumatic flights. Okay. Heavens open, and he thought he saw God sitting upon his throne. And he thought he saw God. That's basically him being like, dude, what I was experiencing was so extraordinary that I can't even confirm if that was God. I was like, I just may or may not have saw someone sitting up there, an entity sitting on something that what is often described or defined as a chair, right? Like that's how much in awe like this whole experience was. So it was like, it must have been completely immersive to like all his senses. Oh, that sounds so cool. Anywho, surrounded with numberless concourses of angels. I mean, to me, that just invokes the symbolism of women. First off, the word concourse kind of sounds like concubine. Okay, it's the word. They're very similar phonetically. Maybe this is pronounced concourses. But anyways, it just reminds me of being surrounded by beautiful women. Like, who doesn't want that, right? Even Valhalla wants that. Even Islam agrees on that. They love women, right? Who doesn't love women? Raise your hand if you don't love women. Oh, wait. That was backwards. That was backwards. Everyone loves women. Without women, like, we wouldn't exist. Like, literally, we wouldn't have babies. We haven't figured out how to grow things in test tubes yet. Till that time, women are here to stay. Men, on the other hand, I feel like their anatomy and contributions to, you know, the reproductive cycle mechanism perhaps might be easier to figure out. But then you're like dealing with like Wonder Woman vibes, you know? Okay, I've gotten off track. That's good enough. We're going to end there. Hopefully those 3 verses, right? We're left on a cliffhanger. He's left with this complete wild vision that's like fully immersive, like sensory immersive experience. And this is after he had to endure getting back home somehow from going on this epic hike where he coincidentally encountered a talking flame sitting on a rock. Like, guys, this is so wild. Like, this is the stuff that like gets passed down for generations because of how extraordinary it is. Just how much it invokes so much awe and wonder in you. You're just like, oh my gosh. Like, just to imagine, to be that person that experienced that. Like one time me and my dad went fishing in Alaska, and he was a bozo and put the fish in his backpack, and there's grizzly bears with cubs around. Ugh. And the bear like circled around because we went up the hill to hide. And then the bear circled around and came uphill from us. And so we made our way downhill back to the trail. And I was panicking. Okay, this will be the ending story. And I was panicking, and all of a sudden, because the bear popped up on the trail, me and my dad were there, and I just booked it. I didn't wait. I did everything that you're not supposed to do. I left my dad. The concept of a dad was like non-existent in that moment that I saw the bear. And I just feel like if I was the person that had to be the one that experienced like perceiving a talking like fire that I could literally audibly hear and like hear like chatter, I wouldn't know what to do. I would run. I don't know. I would be so scared. That would definitely plague me for centuries. I would be like, who do I talk to about this? I have no one to talk to about this. That's what I would feel like if this occurred in this day and age. So if anyone has ever encountered that, you know, feel free to comment or send me an email, because I would love to hear about your experience. Because to be quite frank, it does sound really cool. So okay. Good night.